So let's just talk about the pandemic for a moment because that certainly changed a lot of things for many women globally in terms of what their aspirations may have been prior to the pandemic, how that shifted through the pandemic, and now what they're doing with their lives post pandemic. And I know from talking about executive presence and appearance and confidence in the workplace, there were a lot of things that we saw transition, particularly with dress and appearance and how they presented themselves. So, what's been the biggest shift that you experienced in how women presented themselves then versus now? And I'd really love your perspective on that from where you sit.
I feel like I'm starting to see it revert just a little bit back to a more formal sense. And I hope we keep going in that direction because I think what I would say there is that the thing I saw too many women do that I wish they didn't was become a bit too casual, too familiar. There were women, for example, during the pandemic that were struggling at home with the multi-part jobs. And that was all of us trying to do all of the things while we were working at home. But they embraced it to such a sense that you would have sort of someone on camera with a wild scene behind them and a 2-year-old sitting on their lap. And I thought that's become too familiar, too easy to not take seriously the moment that you want to make a professional impression, to make sure that your background is appropriate, that your attire is appropriate, and that what happens on camera, not that we all didn't have some kind of funny moments where a pet barked at a mailman or somebody rang the doorbell, but those that became comfortable in the chaotic environment or the casual environment, I thought didn't do themselves a favor with setting the impression I think they wanted to have long term.
Mm. Oh, look, I agree, and we certainly saw it here in Australia too. A lot of some very influential women I would see online, no makeup, hair wasn't, like just not presented well at all. And they found it was acceptable because we were in a very strange, unpredictable situation and everyone was just coping the best way they could. And that's fine. We understand that. But I think I tend to hold your view that you can at least do something to be able to take you out of one situation where you're dealing with children's homework or whatever it might be, to then having a meeting with your subordinates or your peers or whatever it might be, even if it's just changing a jacket or doing something just to take you from that situation to this situation. I know we ran a lot of seminars over here, myself and a colleague, for women on how to do it because not a lot of women even had the experience of presenting on Zoom or holding meetings on Zoom. That just really launched that whole virtual space into reality for a lot of people, and they were totally caught out. And yes, the dress code did relax considerably.
I believe so too. I think that not only did they not have the experience, but then this familiarity bred a certain level of reduction in their, I think, standards and expectations. I had a few women over time start to show up to on-camera meetings with the CEO on the meeting in their sports attire, as if they had been working out during the day, which I thought was a great benefit of people who worked at home if you could sneak in a workout. But I found almost insulted by someone showing back up sweaty, their hair in a ponytail, in their sports tank top, and jumping on the camera almost as if we had interrupted their workout. and and I thought, I'm not sure that at work I want to see you in your workout gear, and I certainly don't think I want that. You didn't mean to give me the impression that I had interrupted your day. um and that was true across some men too. We had a young man come in to us meeting sweaty who claimed to have been mowing his yard in sort of the mid-morning time frame. And I thought, wow, people really have let down their guard to a point that this is not making the impression I think they hope to be making.
I think there was a lot of complacency out there with people. And yes, they did relax into, well, I've got all my work done now. So what, I'm going to go out and do something else. I'm going to go and practice my golf, or I'm going to go and, do something else. So as long as they were meeting their KPIs, at the end of the week, they thought it was okay for them to be able to do that. But yes, I think we're still struggling with that in some respects over here, going back to a sort of a hybrid type situation. So a lot of people still work from home, but they might go into the office maybe 2 days a week or something like that. I'm not sure where you're at in the States with that situation, but there's still a little bit of that, I think, going on.
Well, I think that is also true in the States. And one of the things that I keep being surprised by as I see the research, that not going in person is holding those individuals back. That the people who are going in person are building relationships, they're more likely to be promoted, they're more likely to be succeeding, get raises, that kind of thing. And so as women in particular, to choose not to take that opportunity as much as they can, I'm disappointed for those women that this is a moment to capture your power and your presence. Go in person and show your executive presence, show your gravitas, build those relationships, and really move forward in your career, rather than that comfort or complacency by not taking those opportunities and then being frustrated that they're not coming your way.
That's very interesting perspective. And, with the fact that you are involved in so many different areas when it comes to women in leadership, are you seeing examples of women who were showing enormous potential, who have just fallen by the wayside because they've fallen into this, space of doesn't matter, or I don't care, or becoming complacent? That's disappointing, isn't it? Because we are all trying to get more women in the boardrooms and more women into CEO roles worldwide.
It is, for me, so disappointing. And I think that one of the reasons is that women are caught in somewhat of a conundrum of the childcare work, work in an office, a conflict where there now is an increasing pressure to be available to children who are still in the home at all times,
Mm.
and to have this career, rather than, for certainly for me in my early career, I had childcare, consistent childcare, whether that was in the home or outside the home. That now I think is a group of women, a part of this segment of professional women who are feeling like they are supposed to also be full-time at-home parents, that
Mm.
they're supposed to be, in the 2:30 p.m. pickup line. And that makes it very hard to also be in the office in a meeting dressed appropriately at 2:30. And so there's this world where women are in some ways trying to be all things again, in a way that, while it may have been emotionally difficult to have missed some of those things before, at least there was clarity of the expectation. And now I think they're living both.
It's very hard. I mean, it's always been challenging for women trying to hold down a job and look after the children and look after the home. Always been challenging. And I don't know what the long term answer is to that. Yes, I was a single mother, so I was trying to manage everything myself. And yeah, I understand it's really hard. You've just got to make it work as best
It is
possible.
very hard. And I think it's just gets even harder with like the social expectations on both sides. Everyone in the office wants her to not be a mother, and everyone who knows her as a mother wants her to not have the responsibilities of a high-powered career. And it's hard to be both.